Hola amigos, this is Christopher Alexander Robert Clark-Youngblood. It is Saturday, May 30th, 2026. This is the Alex Youngblood podcast. It's been a couple weeks since I've come to you, and a lot has transpired since then, including moving to a new apartment with my girlfriend. And that's been a fairly smooth transition, but a lot of moving and other things have been going down that I want to catch you up on in my life, and then continue our study of the cosmic calendar. I think I left the last episode of this podcast. So ironic, I'm wearing this Oregon mushroom shirt right now because the story I'm about to tell involves mushrooms. I think I concluded the last episode of our podcast talking about how I wanted to really have this urge to get back in nature and reconnect with nature, and that's increasingly the case living in Los Angeles. It's a very it's a big urban jungle, a lot of concrete, a lot of cars, and just it's important for me to be in nature on a regular basis. Excuse me, I think I just burped in the microphone. My apologies. Also, I'm I got to do something about this, staring at myself on the screen, man. I don't like it here. Hold on one second. Let's stare into the universe. I think I'm still recording. So I got back into nature since we last spoke. I took a mushroom trip, went on a hike to Mount Baldy. I like to take a mushroom trip once a month, go to the highest point in whatever area I am, take a bunch of mushrooms, climb to the highest point. I've done this numerous times throughout the past, decade of my life. I did that 2 weeks ago today, right? It was a Saturday. I'm looking for a new job. This is kind of an aside. Where I'm looking, I'm working a new job. My girlfriend is a very busy person. We're living together. It's been harder for me to find time to do these mushroom trips. And so there was a Saturday where everything lined up with both of our schedules. She had to do something. I had the whole day open. Normally try to hang out on the weekends. I drove out to Mount Baldy, which is the tallest mountain in the Los Angeles National Forest, which I had targeted as my next mushroom trip. And I took, I think 10 to 15 grams of mushrooms. I think 12 or 13, which is not uncommon for me. But this is probably the highest mountain, one of the highest mountains I've ever hiked. I think it's 10,000 some feet. And I knew it was a very intense hike. But I'd done my research on this hike about a month ago, thinking I was going to have the time then, and then I didn't. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, oh, now's the time. And I just literally was just like, oh, I can go, I left on a whim. I woke up that morning not even thinking I was going, and so I didn't have the right shoes. I was wearing these minimalist trail running shoes with no laces in them, no shirt. Took a gallon of water. It's supposed to be a 7-hour hike up and back. It was a very intense hike, but awesome, and not a problem going up. Great mushroom trip as well, great insights and very cathartic. Just like any mushroom trip, a good mushroom trip is very difficult to start with, and you're kind of processing a lot of things that you're not so happy with in life. But then it kind of unearths them, those things that you weren't thinking about. It presents them to you. You're able to take them in a different perspective, fully embrace them, and not avoid them. And you come out the other end feeling a lot better, and a lot more inspired and confident. And that's how I was feeling. I reached the peak of this mountain. I'm also probably at the peak of my mushroom trip. It was fantastic. No real physical issues coming out there. It was tough, but I was feeling good. I was ready to hustle down because I told my girlfriend I'd get back for a date night that night at 8 p.m. Man, I don't want to unemphasize how awesome the way up was. The trip was fantastic. Just gave me confidence and gratitude for the place I was in life, and inspiration for myself and others for the future. On the way down, I will say, though, looking back on it, I was being very judgmental of some of the hikers. Everyone was in their gear and their sophisticated hiking sticks and boots and and afraid of the bees at the top. And so I wasn't being a great human being, like fellow human being, kind of my thoughts, kind of judging people. I felt they're kind of a lot of people were kind of being pussies. But credit to anyone that's hiking the mountain in hindsight, because I'm the fucking idiot on the way down. On the way down, I'm flying down the like ridge back of this mountain. I'd like come up this way, basically up the mountain. I'm going to cut down the side and come down kind of like the long way. But actually in the parking lot when I had started, I had met a dude next to me who kind of saw I had that look in my eye that I was looking for adventure. And he said, there's the way in between those routes that's more straight directly up the mountain. It's very steep and a little bit most treacherous, but it's faster. And so I didn't really know either of the routes I was taking. I didn't, like I said, I didn't even look at the map when I got there. I just parked at the trailhead, saw the trailhead, started hiking up the mountain. I do recognize on the way down I'm going a different way, but at this point I've got a general lay of the land. I have my cell phone on me if I need it. There's a good amount of hikers and I can stop and ask, but I'm confident I'll know the way down the trail. And I'm doing well, and it's great, and it's beautiful, and I'm having a great time. At some point down this like ridge back, there's a trail that comes directly up the mountain. This is the trail that the guy from the parking lot was talking about that I hadn't found on the way up. And there's a couple hiking up it, so it's basically intersecting 90 degrees perpendicular to my trail. And I look down at them like, oh, is that trail lead back down to the trailhead at the parking lot? And they say, yeah, it's the same one. They told me the same thing the guy in the parking lot said. It's quicker but steeper, a little more treacherous. I was like, okay, cool, that's perfect. I need to make it back for date night. So I start following this more steep trailhead down the side of this mountain. And within 5 minutes, I've lost the trail. I don't know. The other trail was like, much less steep and more winding. You could see it like, for a quarter mile in advance. This was like very treacherous, very rocky. And at some points I lost the trailhead. And I've done this before hiking. And I'm like, okay, I know the general direction I headed and the general direction this trail is headed. I can refine this trail kind of cutting through off the beaten path. I'm going to reconnect with this trail. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do that, but I thought I would be able to do that. So I went 5 more minutes down the way, like basically directly down the mountain, not on the trail, thinking I'm going to re-intersect with this trailhead or the trail and see it at some point. That was the crucial mistake, that 5 minute period. Because 5 minutes later, I'm like at a way steeper gradient, and it's really no longer an option for me to turn around and climb back up the mountain. So I have to make a decision. I can't go back up to where I came from. It's too steep. Like we're talking about, it was like 70-degree gradient, like very steep. And it's all like loose rock and dirt and like fallen trees. I can't go to the side. It's more like a canyon wall. And it's like, once again, you're walking on the side, you're just going to like slip down and you're not. And at least I know like I'm seeing like a direction downward, whereas like towards the side, there's not even a clear path downward. So I look at my phone. I can't really call for help. I start yelling out to see if there's anyone around that can hear me for a couple minutes. No one can hear me. So it seems to me my options only is to continue downward. I can continue downward, basically at this point just sliding on my ass. And before I know it, I'm in like this kind of thing I've noticed before when I'm hiking on much smaller scales. It's like this chute. It's like a water chute, basically with all the debris and water and broken trees and shattered boulders, old cars is like all gathered in this basically like little chute of gravity down the side of this mountain. And I'm basically stuck in it going down, like kind of like a luge almost of rock and mountain. So I'm just kind of like sliding on my ass, catching myself at points when it kind of evens out and I can stop, reassessing. Can I go up? Is there another way to the side? Check my phone. At this point, I'm getting like desperate. I'm fucked. But I really only think the best way is down. So for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm just sliding down on my ass down this mountain. And there are points where I honestly thought I was going to die. It was the most scared I've ever been, I guess, in my life. There's been more acute situations involving like gun violence or car accidents or things like that. But this is 2 hours of just pure terror, not knowing if I'm even headed. I guess going down is the right way. But the problem is, at certain points, it goes from this like 70-degree decline. It's like a 90-degree drop off. And now I'm at these like cliff faces that are like, 30, 40 feet down. And so there are a couple of these I could kind of scale down that were smaller, 10, 15, 20 feet. What we're talking basically like rock climbing at this point, but, downward. And it's not, it's loose rock. These aren't like established climbing routes. They don't have any rope. Some of it's like fallen trees. I'm like stepping on falling trees. It's kind of like a ladder down. The trees are snapping. I still have my backpack with a gallon, probably half a gallon of water at that point. There's like a 40-foot cliff, like sheer cliff, straight drop that I had to make a decision. Like, do I just stand here and call for help, no self-service, endlessly scream and wait and hope, and perhaps just be at the exact same point here tomorrow morning? It's probably now like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm baking in fucking LA sun on the side of this mountain. Chances are if I just stay here and don't move, I'm just going to be in the exact same spot 12 hours from now, 8 hours from now in the morning. So I throw my backpack down this cliff. It's like, and it continues like tumbling down this mountain because there's no way I can climb down this cliff face without the backpack on my back. So at that point, I step out the cliff face, and then it's like this thought's going through my head. Dude, any movement, and it was kind of like this at already during this descent, like really any movement you fuck up could kill you. I've been in this situation in sports or jiu-jitsu or whatever, but there's no out in this one. I guess driving a car actually is crazy. We do that shit every day, and any movement could potentially kill you, but it's so common and routine. Dude. So I climbed down this fucking little cliff face, but then we're continuing for like another 30 minutes downward like this. And at points throughout this, dude, I'm freaking out. At some points, I'm literally screaming, fuck, 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 almost kind of hyperventilating. I'm not going to die, not going to die, I'm not going to die. Fuck, how do we get in this fucking situation? And at some point, I'm having to gather myself like, bro, you've got to focus. If in any other time in life, like, there's no point in crying about spilled milk. There's more point in beating yourself up about how you got in this situation. There's no point in panicking, no matter how angry or upset or whatever emotional you get about this situation. The reality is the reality, and you have to figure out what's the best way to navigate this reality. If you're going to descend down this mountain, potentially climbing down like cliff faces out of the rope, objectively, the best thing to do is to remain as calm as fucking possible. So screaming, fuck, 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 I'm not going to die, I'm not going to die, is not really calming your nervous system. You have to treat this like yoga or jiu-jitsu. Stay calm, move consciously, move strongly and firmly, but keep the mind calm. So I started trying to focus on, my loved ones, my nieces and nephew, my sisters, my mom, Jojo and Amy, my girlfriend's dogs, things that keep me calm, and inspiration. Okay, this is what we're going back to. Those are the things I like. These things that make me calm. Let's focus on those things, and let's move in a very intentional and calm way. I don't know, 90 minutes into this thing, I see like a figure moving in the distance, and I'd seen deer throughout this unplanned descent, and I'd never seen deer in LA, so I knew I was like off the beaten path for sure. But this looked like a human, so I yell, "Hey!" or "Stop!" whatever, and he doesn't stop. He keeps walking, and I yell again, and then it stops, but then keeps walking, and then I yell like, "Please help! I'm lost. I'm stuck off the path. Can you please just stay there, and I'll walk towards your figure?" And he did, and I found this dude named Luke, who's this like super it's called the Inland Empire east of LA, like kind of white trash looking, methy looking dirt bike type dude with no shirt like me and like spiky fucking piercings and shit, but super nice guy. And dude, I told him like, man, I think that's the most scared I've ever been in my life. I mean, 5 minutes ago I was completely petrified. Here I'm back on the path, and he assured me that this is like the right way, and I descended back down the path with fortunately nothing but like a bruised tailbone and scrapes all over my hands. And I got in the car and drove home. But I lost my phone at that point. It was like an hour and a half drive back home. I made it home, made it in time for date night, but lost the phone, I guess, when I threw the backpack down the cliff. I ended up finding that backpack in the water inside. Uh, and yeah, I don't think my behavior is going to change, but I mean, my behavior will, maybe it will. Yeah, it will. I need to be more intentional on my hikes. Maybe no mushrooms on such intense hikes, or certainly lower dosage. I got to keep hiking mountains, though. I got to keep taking chances in the woods. I just need to be much safer and much more intentional and much more geared up, better footwear. But I feel super grateful to be alive. There's certainly points throughout that descent where I was like, I was praying. I was like trying, I'm not like a dedicated prayer. I meditate multiple times a day. I do feel like I'm communing with like a larger consciousness. I try to like wish good for others during that time and for the, all of existence, and, wish for guidance for me to be a better person. So I do feel like I have a relationship with a higher power, but so I guess it wasn't like I was like communing with that something bigger than me, talking to God for the first time, in a long time or whatever. But this is a different thing where I was like, please help me out in this a very cute way. Like I don't have anything to offer here. I don't want to like make any promises I couldn't keep, but just I other than like I walk around with a sense of gratitude and do my best. I promise every single day to be the best person I could be, and to be the best human I could be towards others. I don't know if I failed. I failed over the last couple of weeks since then, but dude, there were times I would have easily traded every broken bone in my body as long as I still had like full cognitive capacity. Like maybe paralysis, no, maybe not like a direct trade quadriplegic, no, but like certainly broken femurs, broken legs, broken arms, all four broken ribs. I would have traded just get me off this mountain at some point. Yeah, it was, I don't know, 50, honestly, 50-50, 50-50, legitimately 50-50 in my head and my heart, 50-50 whether I'm going to make it off this fucking thing. So stupid. I mean, there's big signs all over the entrance, say like, extreme danger, serious injury, death occur here every year. So yeah, thank the heavens, those that are above us. Thank you. I'm super grateful to be here. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say that I'm not gonna, I'm gonna keep being me. I just need to be more conscious about it. Huh. Anyway, that happened. We moved apartments. um, and still been working the same job. I need to either add another like I'm basically working part-time. I need to add another 50% to this existence, or it's strongly looking like I'll go back into teaching. I'm all in the process of like getting my California teaching certificate. Everything's good to go back in Arizona, which is the last place I like taught under a certificate in a formal way, not like a charter school. So I could go teach in Arizona now, kindergarten through 8th grade or special education at any grade level. I'm now in the process of getting that transferred over to California. That should be, what is it now? It's about basically June, July, August. So hopefully within the next 90 days, that'll be taken care of. And I'll be good to go as a teacher by the beginning of next school year. I just need a baseline level of income and then start building from there. Really trying to look at my life maybe as like a reset now, especially after this near-death experience where, okay, let's reset your life. Let's kind of flash back to 2013. There's just 3 years after college where I was just a teacher. And I was living a basically kind of more normal life. Like, that's really the only time in my life where I've worked a normal, like, W-2 paying job for consecutive years. Other than that, it's been like 1 year stints, or as a nanny that was a different financial arrangement for 6 years. So it'd be cool to go back to I'm at a point in my life where like the steady consistency, I think I could flourish under the kind of structure of teaching, and then potentially look towards going back to school to become a therapist, licensed clinical social worker. I've also been talking to friends about, this sounds like kind of hippy dippy or something, or kind of woo woo, but like executive coaching. I know people that are not like licensed clinicians that are making good money, like basically having life coaching sessions with people in the business world. I don't know. But yeah, just kind of set that structure, teaching, and then from there going back into some sort of schooling, and then building a more like remote and lucrative career over the course of the next decade of my life. Just kind of resetting things here in California. We're also with the goal of getting out of Los Angeles within the next 2 years. I'm 38, so maybe teach like the 26, 27, and then 27, 28 school year, and then look to get out of LA in 2028. Yeah. That's the plan. Where are we now? Because I'll go into the cosmic calendar. Oh, dude, we're only 20 minutes in. Let me grab a quick sip of water, and then we'll go to the cosmic calendar. Boom. Okay. Cosmic calendar week 5. We're now over the billion-year mark. All right, so we're studying the entire history of the universe from Big Bang up until now. It's basically, it's 14 billion-ish years, about 13.8 billion years, allegedly. All this, once again, with the caveat, the asterisk is like, dude, who the fuck knows? Maybe in a simulation of some, like, mega aliens or interdimensional beings. And then, like, all this is just, like, planted evidence for us to think that this is, like, this Newtonian, whatever, Einsteinian physics is real. Who fucking knows? But this is, like, super mainstream shit that I quite frankly don't know anything about, so I'm just trying to at least get a mainstream baseline. It's like, okay, at least let me understand the framework of the Matrix, or like if we're in the Truman Show, like in this dome, okay, like at least let me like explore the fucking dome. I only have 100 years of this alleged 14 billion year universe. Let's say that I'm going for 200. I'm over 200. Only 200 years. This 14 billion year universe. Excuse me. At some point you just gotta like accept science for what it is or something. I don't know. But then, you don't necessarily do that with others. I don't. Anyway, here we go. Big Bang. They like explode. Big Bang is the beginning of everything, right? This like, it's not an explosion, but this like expansion of everything from nothingness, right? All of a sudden, from nothingness, allegedly, the universe starts expanding at this infinitely rapid rate. It's infinitely hot, infinitely dense, and then everything just emerges and just initiates this state of expansion and also the state of cooling, because this infinitely hot state immediately begins to cool. And you start to see the formation of the first basic building blocks of matter. Quarks held together by gluons, this kind of quark-gluon plasmatic soup the universe is described at in its early existence. It's hotter than gas. It's not gas. It's not a liquid. I think of plasma as a liquid. It's not a gas, not a liquid. It's like hotter than that. And it's just expanding and cooling, and gravity exists, allegedly. And the forces of gravity are acting upon this expanding and cooling plasmatic soup, and you see the formation of the first building blocks of life, quarks and gluons, which eventually form protons and electrons and neutrons, and the first elements of life, hydrogen and helium. And the emergence of first elements of life creates the cosmic microwave background. That's the earliest kind of light that we can see when we look back, I believe with like the James Webb telescope, which is out there recently, and looking back at the first signs of the universe is this cosmic microwave background, the emergence of hydrogen and helium, the first elements. These hydrogen and helium elements start to coalesce and form the earliest stars that we know of. These are called population 1 stars. The population 1 stars burn very hot and very fast. They don't live very long in comparison to stars we know of today or the average star. They burn very hot and very fast, and they explode into what is called a supernova. The supernova is like this furnace of incredible heat and explosion of hydrogen and helium. And this hydrogen and helium, when heated to that level, creates new elements. You have oxygen and carbon and iron and all the now metals that we see on the periodic table being released into these to the universe, and those are now the building blocks for the formation of future planets and future stars. Population 2 stars down the road, or I'm also seeing them called generation 2 stars, which are much more stable, steady burning stars. I believe generation 2 stars are kind of the common star we see today that like planets will form around, I believe. I'm being wrong like that. I'm going to pull up my notes here on the side as well, just because I'm not an expert on any of this. We're now into like week 2-ish of the cosmic calendar, right? So each week is 265 billion years. So Big Bang to 265 billion years. That's this kind of early elements, hydrogen, helium, cosmic microwave background, first appearance of light, right? Then we're into week 2. That's 265 million years to 530 million years. That you see the population 3. They call them 1. The steady stars that are made of just hydrogen and helium, the early stars, are called population 3 stars. I apologize. I think I called them 1 stars. They turn to supernova, and they explode, forming the metals that we know of, carbon, oxygen, and iron, these early metals. These population 3 stars also start to coalesce in these early galactic structures. And these are called proto-galaxies. These are very small communities, so to speak, of population 3 stars. We're now crossing into week 3, about 530 million years to 795 million years, about 800 million years into the universe's existence. These proto-galaxies start forming larger galaxies with a spiral shape in the middle that we see today. So we start to see the spiral galactic shape we see today in this week 3, approaching 800 million years into the universe. And now, also in week 3, we start to see the emergence of population 2 stars. Population 2 stars, I believe, are the steady, more stable stars that we know of today. And this is something that's very strange. This cosmic web, the formation of this cosmic web. Apparently the universe, like the structure or the scaffolding of the universe, is like a web of filaments that I believe are composed of like dark matter. I think of it, I might be wrong about this, but like a soccer net or a hockey net. And at the intersection of these nets, of the net, where the net intersects, that's where galaxies form or start to coalesce. And so you see the emergence of this cosmic web scaffolding of the universe in week 3. And dark matter, I guess, which is, what the fuck is that? It's like, I guess it's like the deep condensing of the building blocks of the universe that composes this web or something like that. Let's move on to week 4. Week 4, we're now going to cross from like 800 million years into 1 billion years into the universe's existence. We see the emergence of our galaxy, the Milky Way. The Milky Way, the first stellar structures of the Milky Way, so the first stars in the Milky Way start to come together in week 4. Let's just call around the billion-year mark. Let's just say like the billion-year mark is when the Milky Way starts to come on the scene. And let's use that kind of now as our first checkpoint. We're 1 billion years in. We only got fucking 13 billion more to go in this study. And right around here, the universe is becoming less chaotic. You start to see these population 3 stars, these kind of young, wild, crazy adolescent stars who live wild and free for a very short time, then exploding metal in the building, metals, carbon, oxygen, and iron into the universe. They start to die down. They start to all kind of die off. And this period is known as the cosmic noon, because these population 2 stars, these more stable stars, start to take over. And something very interesting starts to happen. Population 2 stars are starting to coalesce into like galaxy communities, spiraling together, like we know this spiral structure of a galaxy. And at the center of these galaxies, we start to see the formation of black holes. What the fuck? I don't know, have a complete understanding of black holes right now, but we do know at this point they're starting to form at the middle of black holes. And we look back on that with telescopes back in time. There's like this bright light that emerged from some black holes, and that's called a quasar. And that's when a black hole, I guess, it's just like consumes everything around it. And when it begins like overeating, it starts shining brighter than the galaxy itself. And I believe that's just a sign that like this galaxy is doomed. It's an overeating, over-consuming entity. At this point, galaxies are becoming more and more common. The universe is becoming more and more rich with the metals that have exploded. It looks like things that I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm uncomfortable with this like science explanation, and so I think I'm doing like weird things with my body. But the metals are being increasingly released into the universe. Galaxies are becoming more common. It's a very fertile time in the universe's existence. And I talked about this something last week called reionization. But it's something like the energy, the UV light, or something that's released from population 3 stars exploding that like strips an electron off hydrogen atoms and then makes them, I guess, like more combinable with other elements. And so this like reionization, which occurs from supernova explosions, kind of making like chaos, but like fertile breeding ground, is starting to calm down as well. And now we enter week 5. This is a new week for us, and we're now crossing the billion-year mark up into about 1,325,000,000 years into the universe's existence. And now these proto-galaxies are really starting to collide together in a very active way. Galaxy collisions and galaxy formations are becoming increasingly common. Our Milky Way is on the scene and continues to get bigger and bigger. Black holes at the center of these galaxies. So with galaxies is coming black holes. These black holes are not only becoming more common in number, but they're growing in size. And this is the age of population 2-star formation. These population 2 stars are composed of metal. They're full of all of these metals, carbon, oxygen, iron, that I've spoken of a bunch. Population 1 stars, those old adolescent, living hot, fast and free stars, they've all died out. And this cosmic web, it's so kind of creepy to me. This cosmic web continues to solidify. These filaments of dark matter, this apparently invisible scaffolding in the universe, are like pulling other matter, the basic elements of the universe, into their like threads, into their web. And like I said, galaxies are starting to form at the intersection of this web. It's like this fucking, I guess, like almost like plaid quilting of the universe or something, it sounds like. The universe was very chaotic during its first billion years. But now, crossing the billion-year mark into the 1.3 billion-year mark, the universe is starting to calm down a little bit. Galaxies are starting to calm down. Sounds like the universe is becoming a little bit more mature. It's growing up. And it's creepy dark matter. I don't know why I call it creepy. The dark matter filament web scaffolding, invisible scaffolding, is starting to solidify. So week 5, crossing the billion-year mark. Galaxy formation is active. They're dominated by population 2 stars, which are longer lasting, more stable stars, not population 1 stars. But now the universe is full of metal from these exploded supernova, population 3 stars, sorry. And so it is now filled with all of the basic building blocks it needs to continue to form galaxies and down the road, eventually planets. So that is where we are, about the 1.3 billion year mark, week 5. Right on my birthday, right? So now we're like in the first week of February, my birthday being February 8th. So I guess like week 6 maybe would be like February 8th. And that's what we'll pick off next week. I love you all. I'm very grateful to be here. Life's going to get interesting, some major changes. I think it's time for me to get back kind of in the system in my life. That's part of the lesson I took from that hiking experience was my brother Luke. The guy's name was Luke, who was on the path. And Lucas is also the dad of Jojo and Emmy, and it's been a brother of mine in raising 2 children, he being their actual dad and bearing the broader responsibility of their upbringing during the 6 years we were together. And I always looked at him as kind of on the traditional path. And I'm kind of out here kind of experimenting, living an alternative lifestyle, knowing that but my brother Luke and Jojo and Emmy and Sue, my kind of family is back here in my little safe guest house in LA. It's like that traditional path is always there, and I can live this wild life. Well, that kind of safety and comfort of that family is gone. I'm now out here forming my own family and new path here with my girlfriend in our new apartment. And on that mountain trip, that descent, I got off the path. I found a brother Luke on the path. So I'm not saying I'm going to become a complete fucking 9-to-5er, but I don't know. I think maybe it's time for me to rein it in a little bit in some ways in my life. And I actually think that will grant me the long-term ability to continue living what I hope to be like a fruitful, adventurous, and exploratory lifestyle. But just perhaps with, less peaks and valleys and a more steady kind of surfing of the waves of life. I fell on my ass hard, and I've been taking a month off of jiu-jitsu. And so I missed Jiu-Jitsu World League World Championships were last week, actually the day we moved in. So I had my toes been fucked up and swollen and kind of non-functional. and then my ass was like literally almost unable to drive. I couldn't drive more than like 5 minutes. It was excruciatingly painful, my tailbone the first 2 weeks. So after that first week, went back to training. I was getting taken down on my ass constantly, just very painful. I was like, this might not be good. So I went and got an x-ray. X-rays were negative, but I just decided to take a month off regardless, just make sure the tailbone is healed. It's feeling a lot better, and I'll get back into it with the target of September 1st, I believe it is, World Championships. Gi and no gi is my goal. September 1st. I've been actually talking about this and focusing on this one for a while. The Jiu-Jitsu World League I just kind of learned about. I was hopeful to maybe get into it. My training had been erratic this year, plus injuries, and then the tailbone. I decided, and we were moving on the day of the championship, so it was just like, this can't happen. But the IBJJF championships in September, I legitimately been talking about that for a long time, and it's a legitimate goal of mine in Vegas. Grateful to be here. We'll keep it going. We just keep it going. I love you all. I love you, universe and God. We'll keep studying, into week 6, the expiration of the cosmic calendar next week, wherever I talk to y'all next. I love you. Besos.